Also, it seemed like they had access to the the possessed child, it felt like whenever they wanted. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
he's just like they take him on field trips. They're taking him.
Like, they just got out of the hospital, like, whenever they wanted, and then at the same time, the priest was
You
like,
can't be
"You
doing
can't do anything to him."
They're
You
never
know, it's
actually like
like,
stopped
it
from
doesn't seem hard to, like, take this kid out of the hospital/church.
Welcome back to Log It. I'm here with a old and special guest. Old as in here previously, very young and youthful. Riley Polito's back. Welcome back, Riley.
Hi, thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. That question I literally have banned in my head as a question when I'm introducing a guest, and I ask it every time,
How are you?
regardless. Yeah, because it's just such a what are you supposed to do with that? Like, good. Like, I need to give you a little
Just
more
spill
something
your
to talk
guts.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was work today?
Oh, I'm not working today, so it's
It was
good.
perfect then. Good. Uh, well, awesome. I asked Riley to watch a really a random movie when I found just somebody talking about, and I was like, that sounds cool. We watched the 2025 Korean film Dark Nuns. Cool movie. It's about nuns who are exorcists. They kind of become exorcists and
Mhm.
basically take on this possessed kid case. Kind of, it's kind of like a detective case too, and have to go against the church and sexist priests and demons, and it was really cool. You did watch it, correct?
I did watch it, yes. I watched it in 2 parts. I watched,
Nice.
half of it yesterday, and then I watched the other half this morning, which is weird to watch in the morning.
Yeah, that's a probably sets a nice mood for the day.
Yeah.
Nice atmosphere. What do
Mhm.
you think? Just like broad strokes.
Broad strokes, I did enjoy the movie, but the first half, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, "This is kinda going the same way as every exorcism movie." So I
Yeah,
was a little bit like, "Oh, I don't know how they're gonna, like, turn this a bit," but the characters were interesting. Like, the 2 main, sisters were interesting, so that brought me back into it.
cool,
But overall, I did like the movie.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear that. The first half is a little bit slower too.
Mhm.
We'll get to this later, but it's almost shot like a TV show more. Like it looks kind of like an
That's what I was
American Horror
thinking.
Story I kept seeing.
Yeah, like, made for TV movie.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it's not even supposed to be a knock on it because a lot of the visuals were really awesome. Let's give just a little bit of background for this
Okay.
one. Put my review or my outline if it'll load.
Uh-oh, dead air.
Oh god! Oh god!
Cut that.
Okay, so this came out just like in January, I believe. It did
Okay.
pretty well in the Korean box office. It made $11 million in its run. I think it's still playing in theaters now, which is pretty solid for Korean box office. There was like absolutely no presence here in the States, which is a shame. Letterboxd,
Mhm.
this has a score of 2.7. Rotten Tomatoes critics, this has a 50% score. And Metacritic and
Mm.
Rotten Tomato audience scores, they couldn't give an average because there wasn't enough reviews, and that was kind of crazy.
Oh.
Relatively under the radar film. There was no
Yeah.
budget info I could find, so not sure if it was a success or not. I'm gonna guess this was like under 10 million though, based on the look. There's not
Yeah.
a lot of special effects, nothing crazy in that way.
Mm-mm.
Why did I watch this? I just thought it sounded awesome. I read Exorcist Nuns, and I was like, okay, like that's got to be pretty cool. It's actually based on a 2015 film too called Priests.
I read that. Yeah, I read it's like the sequel or a spinoff of it,
Yeah, like
right?
I'm not sure if it was like a spin-off is what they said, but it almost sounded like a remake sometimes. So I'm not sure if it was like a sequel slash like reboot almost. Okay, so I actually learned how to say the Korean names a little bit
Oh,
to see,
good.
and it's probably
Good.
gonna be
I was
even worse
nervous.
now. So this was this was directed by Kwon Hyuk Jae. It is starring an actress named Song Hae Kyo. No, I butchered that one. That's okay. I tried my best.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is her first Korean film in 10 years, which was pretty interesting.
Oh,
She's like a pretty famous Korean actress. I guess she went and did Chinese movies for the last 10 years for some reason. And so it's kind of a big
okay.
deal that she was coming back to do a Korean film. This, like we said, this is based on the 2015 film Priest. So that one was directed by Jang Jia. Man, no, I'm not even gonna do it. So basically, this is like you said, the beginning of this is like a pretty basic exorcism plot. There's a
Hmm.
kid possessed. The nun is kind of brought into it. It's kind of the classic thing where the priests are like, "Oh, you're a woman. Women don't really do exorcisms. We're also not sure if this needs to be an exorcism, and also we're like not sure if exorcisms are even real. Like this kid's probably
Yeah.
just got a mental health issue." Basically, though, it's the movie is really about the two lead characters, Sister Junia, and that's the song actress who was making her Korean
Mm,
comeback, and then Sister Michaela, who's kind of her like sidekick trainee. Like Sister Junia is very
yeah.
experienced. She's been around. She's really good at God stuff and exorcisms. And then Sister Michaela is kind of skeptical and also like really nervous and scared about stuff. So she's way less uh, experienced and also like spiritually naive compared to Sister Junia.
She's also Sister Michaela's also a doctor, which I
Yes.
found super interesting. Like almost half the priests and sisters were also doctors. I was like, how does that
Yeah, it
work?
took.
They're
Go ahead. Sorry.
well, Sister Michaela was wearing her nun outfit. I'm sorry, I don't know the technical term. And then she's wearing a lab coat
Yeah.
over it. And I was like, is this real or did they make this like up for the movie? Because it looks ridiculous.
Well, and I was like really confused at the beginning because so Sister Junia, we learn early on, has cancer that's like
yeah,
already too far gone to do anything. So the doctor's basically like,
yeah,
you got a month
terminal.
or two to live. So this exorcism kind of becomes her like last thing she's gonna do with her life.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so she's in a hospital learning about her cancer, and then the nurse is coming out talking to her. She's like, you have another checkup in 2 weeks, blah blah blah. And then Sister Junia is like, I have an appointment with doc father, blah blah blah. I need to talk to him. And then they cut to her talking to a priest in a what looks like a priest's office. It took me a little while to learn the hospital was also like a
Yeah.
church. Like it's. I wonder if in
Yes.
Korea they have like Catholic hospitals that are.
That's
It's
what I was
gotta be,
wondering too.
right?
It must be a thing. It must be because that's so odd to mash them up if it's not
It
a
was,
thing. It's
yeah.
like,
So you get like a little bit of like a medical procedural feel to it sometimes. There's also kind of like I felt like it was like a little True Detective-y where the Sister
yeah,
Junia and Michaela have to go investigate. They have to go do research about this demon and about what kind of demon it is and how to treat it, basically. And so, like at one point, they go to this like witches community, kind of like some kind of
a
shaman.
shaman.
Yes, shaman.
Yeah,
So they go
yeah.
to this like shaman on a beach and they're doing this like crazy ritual with the kid who's possessed, taking him into the ocean while the lady's like chanting and like dancing on a bowl of water. uh
Yeah.
Loved that. Like that kind of stuff is when I really like you're saying, the first half I was like, oh, this is like fun but kind of generic. That was when I was like, oh, that's really interesting and feels kind of unique.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And so I liked having that blend, and again that kind of also added to like the TV show feel, where it was like this almost
Yeah.
feels like a procedural in the vein of like CSI sometimes, where there's like a team of people coming
Yeah.
together with different skills and they're like going off on different missions sometimes, and that I especially felt that at the end when everybody kind of comes back together to defeat.
Really randomly
Yeah.
at a random location
Just in the empty warehouse.
in a warehouse. I was like, how did you first, how did you pick that? And then how did that guy find them?
The drummer guy.
You know what I mean?
The drummer guy was awesome, dude.
Which sounds so crazy out of context, but like Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Also, it seemed like they had access to the the possessed child, it felt like whenever they wanted. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
he's just like a they take him on field trips, they're taking him
Like, they just got out of the hospital, like, whenever they wanted, and then at the same time, the priest was
you
like,
can't be
"You
doing
can't do anything to him."
they're
You
never
know, it's
actually, like,
like,
stopped
it
from
doesn't seem hard to, like, take this kid out of the hospital/church. Slash church.
yeah, yeah.
But she is a badass, so that's why
Yes,
she was able
and
to.
she, especially Sister Junia, is like just like super like no BS, and especially I feel like when she learns
Yeah.
she's like dying, she's like already kind of like feels kind of disillusioned
Yeah.
with the church. Like she's clearly believes in the church and has her faith, but she like is aware and cynical about the bureaucracy of the church. And it definitely feels like she like
Right.
kind of is used to this as she's going through things. I think even in the first half of the movie, she kind of tells people she doesn't think it's an exorcism, just so she can keep treating the kid. If I think I remember that. Like
Yeah. I think that was what
she's
she
like,
was
well, I'm pretty
doing.
sure it's actually this like mental thing happening, phenomenon. So we're gonna try this, but we need to look into it more. But then she's actually pursuing it as an exorcism the whole time, and I thought that was kind of cool.
That was
There's a little bit of
smart.
subversion on her part to navigate the politics, which I thought that was kind of
Yeah.
fun too. We kind of touched on the cinematography. I wanted to go back to that because there was a few, I don't know, it was really interesting. The beginning, I was like, man, this is a shame. It feels kind of like low budget. It has that TV feel.
Mhm.
It was done. It was
Mhm.
done well, and there's some interesting shots and how they frame things in the beginning. But kind of as the movie gets weirder and we start expanding the world into like the shaman community, they meet this like drummer monk guy. Was he part of the shaman community? I think he was.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah, and
was.
so and then they are also having to go talk to like the Holy Rose Trinity to get like artifacts, like church relics they
From
need.
the
Yeah,
Vatican.
it's like literally like a superhero Indiana Jones feeling thing, and they like can't get the relics they need. So basically you're expanding this world and you're going into like the demon is getting stronger and he's having more influence over what's happening. As the movie gets weirder though, the colors of the movie get stronger, and I feel like the cinematography and the lighting specifically gets more like abstract and tries to be uh worries less about like realism and feeling natural. And it kind of reminded me of like something like Black Narcissus, like the like kind of like the Pressburger and Powell era of like classic Hollywood, where they
Mm.
uh like a common phrase for that era is like painting with light. And so like they literally would use light and the color to give a lot of the mood and character to the scene.
Interesting. I've never seen that.
It's really cool. It's actually kind of, oh my god, Black Narcissus is about nuns too. I forgot. So that's a perfect connection to
Oh.
this. It's from 1947. It's about like nuns in this like remote jungle church where they're all like super sexually repressed, and then this hot like jungle dude comes and starts staying with them to be like the like groundskeeper, kind of like security for their convent. And it kind of just like drives like creates a bunch of drama with the ladies, but one lady specifically is like driven crazy into like a sexual repression like frenzy.
Is it a comedy or is it like a drama?
It's a drama. It's like very serious. It's like it's awesome though.
Oh my
The way
god,
I'm
wait, maybe I
describing it,
have seen this. I need to look it up. Oh my god. Yeah, I watched this. I just didn't know the name of it. I watched this last year.
the movie or the TV show.
It's a crazy movie. The movie.
Oh, nice. It's so good, right?
It was crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild. It
It's
goes weird
wild. It's
places.
almost a little too dark for me,
Interesting.
but we watched it.
Did you watch it with your husband?
Yeah, me and
Nice.
Andy watched it,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's an intense movie. When you were
Mhm.
describing it, I was like, wait, that rings a
Sounds so
bell.
familiar. Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds almost like cheesy the way I'm describing it, but
I
it's like a
don't
deep psychological, like sexual thriller kind of. It's kind of like in the vein of like Eyes Wide Shut almost.
Yeah, but yeah, the costumes were crazy in that movie. Like all the scenery was crazy.
And so, fun fact, that whole movie was shot on a stage in London. None of that is
Oh
real.
wow.
So all of that was created from scratch, basically. And so that's where the painting with color thing was such a big part of
Oh.
those movies. So all those like beautiful sunsets or like mountainscapes, all of it is done with like literal paintings or just like light.
Okay, got it. That's cool.
That's cool though that you've seen that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really bad with like names of movies,
But
but
like
like
the
once I know the
vibe and
plot,
the
I'm like, oh yeah, I actually have
yeah,
seen that.
that's like people with me. I can't remember names,
Oh,
but
me either.
I'll remember the person. Like, I know
What's
you.
your name?
I just don't know your name. I remember things you told me about yourself. I remember. Uh,
I also watched this like on my phone.
you were on your phone.
I watched it on my phone. I
You
couldn't
watched.
get it to like, so I need to rewatch. But it was like 5 inches from my face, so I felt like I was.
It was basically IMAX.
Yeah,
with this, yeah, I get that. I get
yeah. I'm technically challenged, so I couldn't get it to like anything else. I was like, okay, I guess I'm just watching on my phone. Let's do it.
that. And that counts. The first time I watched Clockwork Orange was on my phone, and it absolutely blew
Ugh.
my mind.
Okay, have you been able to watch that movie a second time? Because I haven't.
That's definitely one I don't enjoy revisiting often. It's definitely like
Yeah.
a tough movie to watch just because of the violence, and specifically like sexual
Yeah.
violence is like something I
Yes.
do not enjoy in movies at all anymore. Or no, I
That
don't know if I ever
movie.
did, but it's a turn
No.
off now.
Yeah,
In
I
high
for
school,
sure
ooh.
don't enjoy it now, but in high school, yeah, there was one weekend I like picked a weekend to just watch it because I've heard so many things about it, and it looks visually cool, right? Like
Amazing.
anything you see about it. And I remember I started on like a Friday night. I was like, "Ooh, I gotta stop and maybe pick up tomorrow."
Take a
It
breather.
took me like 3 days to watch the whole movie. I was like, "Oh, I don't like this." It was pretty disturbing, but overall, it is a good movie.
Yeah, definitely like amazing. I guess we can kind of get into spoilers here too, because honestly, my favorite part of the movie was the exorcism. I thought it was really fun. I read a lot of reviews that people thought the exorcism was boring or that the two main characters were boring, and I just totally disagree with those. The exorcism, they're basically like for like 20 minutes before they do the exorcism, basically everything that they need fails. They can't get the relics, they can't get the drummer, or they don't even invite the drummer guy. There's a
No,
few
they
other
got the
things.
relics.
Well, they do after the exorcism starts,
Oh.
because the cool priest goes and steals them from the Holy Rose, the Catholic elite people, the leaders.
No, the Vatican gives it up.
No, the priest literally steals them. I think.
From the Vatican?
I think so. But now I'm not sure.
Because there's that weird exchange where they just put these extremely rare artifacts in a roller back bag. Like,
I think that's because he's stealing them at that point.
oh wow, I totally
Because
missed
they didn't
that.
get permission, the church leaders, because he's like,
Yeah, they
can
fly
we,
in the guy from the Vatican
yeah,
to ask for it, and then he's basically like,
you
they
can't get
can't
permission to do
really,
the
yeah.
exorcism, and you can't have the relics. And she's like, well, something about, basically they said getting permission to do an exorcism would be easier than getting permission to take the relics away.
Oh, right.
Because there's also we didn't really talk about the priest. There's like the one doctor priest, and he's kind of just like a thorn in the side. He's kind of just like,
Yeah.
very much like a middle management type who's always like, oh, this really isn't a good idea. You're really not supposed to do that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. I don't really think this is real. And so by the end, I was pumped when he was like, all right, I'm helping. And then the shaman drummer guy shows up. And so for like the whole exorcism, he's just out in an alley, like 2-3 floors below them, drumming and shouting his chants into the wind. And like the demon is literally creating like a windstorm to try to stop
Yeah.
him. The demon hates the music. The music was highly effective.
Yeah.
And it's like literally like Scott Pilgrim Battle, where he's like using his music to fight the wind, it feels like. And
That's
I loved
true.
it. I loved it. So, it was like, by that point I was like, this rules. I want to do an episode on this. This is awesome.
It really touched you.
It was so, and then the best part, the wind blows away his drum setup, his whole thing, and he's like,
Yeah.
you guys, no. And then he just starts chanting without the drums, just his voice yelling into the wind. He's like not even singing, he's literally just like yelling the words. It was
It's a true
so
shaman.
awesome. Yeah.
He's
It was just like-
dedicated.
And he was like a fun detail. He was a stutterer, and so it's even more fun that he's like using his voice at the end to fight the demon.
Well, you find out that he was actually friends with the kid that is possessed. They're like the same
Oh, I
age.
didn't even catch that.
Yeah, you find out the kid that's possessed, he tried to commit suicide, and then that guy, the drummer guy, is the one who stopped him from jumping off that cliff. Do you remember that?
Right. Yes, yes. At the very that's like close to the beginning, right?
Yeah,
Or
so
a
he had, like, a
flashback.
personal connection. I think that's why
Oh, they do a
he
flashback. I do
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
now
yeah.
to the kids at their like boarding school or whatever.
Yeah, and the drummer guy, the shaman, he actually stole the chant book because the
Oh,
other
that's
shamans were like, "You
right.
can't do this." Everyone literally was, like, against
Oh
it.
my god. That reminds me. There's that one point where they're like, okay, go get the holy book we need. And they walk over and grab it and it's just like shredded.
Well, that's from the Vatican.
But I think the demon did it so they couldn't use it.
No, it was just
You think
old. It's
you think
probably
it was just
from,
like
like,
never even usable?
I don't.
That's hilarious. I thought it was like the demon had cut it up, and that cracked me up because they grab it, it's just like in tattered.
Yeah, I was like,
It's
"Why
like
do you
not even
need
a
that?"
book. It's just papers. I'm like, oh.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. I do wanna say though, the movie started off pretty strong, with how do you say her name? Sister
Sister
what?
Junia,
Junia?
Junia.
She, like, comes into this other random place with, like, looks like she has a gallon of gasoline in her hand, and she comes into, like, this dark room, and there's this guy tied to a chair or whatever, and then she just, like, pours the whole thing over him, and apparently it's holy water, but it was just like, and then she grabs this the Mother Mary statue and just like puts it in the guy's mouth. I was like, what the hell is
That felt
this?
like a little bit of like symbolism, visual symbolism. Dude, the holy water
Oh my god.
buckets you mentioned are awesome too. I forgot. They literally prep these like gasoline buckets, like you said,
Gasoline
gasoline buckets of
buckets.
holy water. And so for the final exorcism, they literally have like 4 of them. So every now and
Yeah,
then, the
just in
sister
case.
Michaela will grab a bucket of holy water and just like dump it on the kid
But
with like
they
no
like
warning.
waterboard him. Is that the name?
Yes.
Like it's right over his mouth, and he's just like,
Oh,
oh.
that was like so that cracked me up. Yeah,
That was like an
it's a fun
aggressive
movie.
decision.
It's a fun movie. Uh, yeah, they're pretty like no nonsense nuns.
Well, especially her, and they smoke, which I was
Yeah,
surprised.
tons of smoking, really,
Tons of
really
smoking.
cool in that way. Yeah, they're just real badass, especially after she has the cancer she's smoking. I'm like, yeah, why not at that point?
Why
Like,
not? Yeah,
what's
you're
it
gonna
gonna
die.
yeah, enjoy.
What's it gonna do now?
So that was like the big that I really enjoyed that. Like there's a lot of other fun stuff, but that really tied it together. I thought the demon
Yeah,
kid was great. He was played by
yeah.
Moon Woo Jin,
Okay.
and I really liked him. And yeah, there's also a scene with tarot cards where they're getting a tarot card
Oh
reading.
yeah,
And I thought that was cool. Again, it kind of was like the Catholic Church was just like one entryway to this mystical world, which I really enjoyed. Like that was
yeah,
their route to it, but there were other ways to connect with this world.
yeah. You don't usually see like tarot cards mixed in with anything Catholic.
Nuns.
Nuns are, it's more like mystical rather than religious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked that because that tied in the artifacts they needed, like the keys to heaven and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good twist because if it didn't have that, it would have just kind of been like a lot of other
Just super too
um
way too generic. If
yeah,
yeah, it would have just been
yeah,
pretty formulaic. That kind of stuff added flavors that
yeah.
really made it pop to me.
Also, I feel like Sister Michaela during the exorcism, half the time I was like, why is she here? Like, was she's not helping. She's very scared. She keeps just like crying.
Like
There's a part in the exorcism where she like has to just check his eye with a flashlight, and all he does is open his eye and she goes, oh my God. She's like, I'm like, nothing happened. He just opened his eye. And then the other sister is like, the devil knows.
I also love, I feel like for like 5 minutes of it, she's just relegated to praying out loud. Like she's literally
Yeah.
just like sitting praying. And even that,
Yeah.
she's like having a
Having
hard
a
time
hard
staying
time,
with.
yeah.
She's like closing her eyes, not watching anything. Yeah, she was funny. She was pretty I wouldn't say it was like comedic relief, but it was nice having like a lighthearted not like super serious person, because everybody else was pretty like deep into
Yeah.
their world. She was like the most like audience relatable character.
Yeah. And you do find out both of the nuns had been possessed before. So that was a
Oh,
huge part. Like
yeah.
that was a huge
That's a
difference
big
from this from
detail.
other movies. So that was interesting because like they both have had experiences with like being possessed or like
Right.
having hallucinations of the devil.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
And
so
they
that
both
was a
kind of
good
reacted
twist.
differently to it, where the one
Yeah.
girl is kind of got like PTSD with it and hasn't really
Yeah.
dealt with it, where the other nun is kind of like hardened and maybe disillusioned with things.
Yeah.
It's a
Exactly.
fun dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's super fun. Well, Riley, this was an extremely fun episode. As we wrap up, would you recommend this to people?
I think I would recommend this to people like Victoria
Yeah.
who enjoy like a scary-ish. I mean, this movie is not scary, I don't think, but someone that's into like witches and like scary movies, I think it's right up their alley, but I don't know if I would recommend this to a bunch of people. Would you?
I am not sure. It is a little long. I think it's like a little over 2 hours, maybe, or just under two
Hmm.
hours.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like I said, or I think this is before we started. I was even a little nervous recommending it to you. I was like not sure if you were gonna take it or not. I think it's one I would encourage people to watch, but I don't know if like Ian. I don't know if Ian would like this. I don't know if
Right.
I like it. Would it's definitely not one I would give a blanket thing to. But if you like exorcism movies,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think it's a fun entry, a fun little entry into that genre.
Yeah, it did have good twists, but I will say this, I don't think any more exorcism movies need to be made.
But what about I don't know what even joke I'm gonna do. I couldn't think of anything in time.
Like, I think we all know the basics now. Like, you gotta know the demon's name,
Yeah, that was
right?
big in this one. Yeah.
Like, that's in every single
That
one.
was tired. That one I was like, oh, who cares?
But
It's
that's how
like
you fix
Moloch or
it.
Mordecai or something. Like, whatever.
It started with a G for sure.
They're always like
So not sure where you
there's
go.
like three noises that can be in a demon name, three
Yeah.
sounds, and they just get
Yeah.
reordered.
Yeah, there's always like an Italian priest that shows up. That
Yeah.
happens for like they flew him in and then flew him out.
They
He,
did.
like,
That's right. I was like, they didn't miss, did they? Yeah, they did. They did.
like
They
that could have been a phone call, probably.
That's awesome.
But yeah, overall, I just think like they did a good job with this movie, but I don't think I need to see another exorcism movie for like a pretty long time.
I'm trying to think of
Sorry.
any joke I can about an exorcism movie that would be worth watching. I can't at all. You got me. You're right.
Gotcha.
You're totally right. I can't even think of a funny one. Cool. There are a couple letterbox reviews I wanted to read very quickly.
Okay.
This is a half-star review that I thought was funny. Are there any scary scenes? None at all.
Ha bum.
Which there aren't a lot of scary scenes. It's definitely more of an atmosphere movie. They're not wrong. There's no jump scares, which I actually really loved.
I did enjoy not, being
I could just kind of
scared.
yeah, it was fun. That was a half-star review from Goldwyn Reviews. This is a 5-star review from Smiley. The type of horror movie I'd always FW honestly fuck with. No necessary jump scares, but the suspense is incredible. This movie made me feel something I can't even explain, as though a devil had entered my chest. The intense exorcism scenes too, ... My heart has never beaten so fast, lol. Call me a coward or whatever, but it actually made my hands tremble even after the movie
What?
ended.
Wow.
So
They've never seen an exorcism movie then. Like they've never this is the first time. And that's cool because that's how you get a 5-star review.
hey, everyone's got to have their first like
And I
there's
don't think
always
they
gonna be one
watched
that
it on
breaks the
their
ice.
phone. Yeah. I should have done my job correctly and watched it on a big screen. So maybe
Next time
that's
I'll
why
be
I'm missing
checking
it.
before we
Okay.
record to make sure.
They didn't watch it on a
This
phone.
won't
I
happen
guarantee.
again.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I think that's gonna do it. thank you so much, Riley, for coming on. This was very fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. Depending on when this comes out, we're going to have another episode coming out soon. Riley, I believe, is going to be back for that. The Swimmer.
Oh, yeah.
From, what was it, 1968, I think?
I think so.
With Newman's Own. I can't remember his first name.
Yeah, what's his name?
Paul Newman from Newman's Own Dressing.
Are you sure that's the person?
Very positive until you asked me to confirm it on air.
Wait. Burt Lancaster.
What?
Burt Lancaster.
Wait, oh my God. Why did I say it was
that's
Paul
not him.
Newman?
You better keep that in because I'm never right. Burt Lancaster.
Wait, what did I watch with Paul Newman?
Wait, did you watch the wrong movie?
Okay, well, I don't think Paul Newman's in clue why I went to Newman's Own there. I'm looking at his movies and I can't find anything I've watched recently. Okay, that's crazy.
Did you have a salad dressing recently?
Well, you know.
Demons in you. Paul Newman's possessed you. Stupid joke.
That's funny. All right, well, that's a perfect place to wrap up. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you.